harmony are some of the words that we heard in this video. So we're definitely looking forward for this project to start. Dear friends, we now come to the keynote address of today by Sadhu Brahmavihari Das. Previously in Leicester, UK, with a brilliant educational background, Sadhu Brahmavihari Das is an accomplished and thought-provoking intellectual and a fine orator. Many of you have heard him before and gained his insightful speeches on life and values. Sadhu Brahmavihari Das was initiated by Pramukh Swami Maharaj in 1981. He then studied Eastern and Western philosophy, Sanskrit, and world religions. Like all great speakers and thinkers, he is well-read in various fields ranging from science to psychology to spirituality. He was a key team member of the making of Akshardhams in Gandhinagar, New Delhi, and the large format film Mystic India. And now he's overseeing the Abu Dhabi Temple project as well. For the last 15 years, Sadhu Brahmavihari Das' frequent visits to the Middle East have resulted in strong personal relationships with royal families. His topic today is Harmony, the Home of Happiness. Friends, it is my honor for BAPS, Bahrain, to welcome our dear Sadhu Brahmavihari Das Swami to enlighten us.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Swaminarayan Bhagwan Jai. Akshar Purushottam Maharajani Jai. Radha Krishna Devani Jai. Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwanani Jai. Umapati Mahadevani Jai. Guru Hari Pramukh Swami Maharajani Jai. Guru Hari Mahan Swami Maharajani Jai. Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsavani Jai. In the divine presence of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, in the equally divine presence of my Guru Hari Pramukh Swami Maharaj, Guru Hari Mahan Swami Maharaj, in the revered presence of Param Pujya Dr. Swamiji, revered saints, and many of you who are sitting here before me, the love I can feel by your mere presence. And when Dr. Buali told me that it has been almost 1.5 years since you came last, the time and the clocks that you keep tell me a lot about the love that you have for us and the love we share for you. Today, honestly speaking, this doesn't seem like a whole. It feels to me like a giant heart where all of us are reveling together. Thank you very much for being a part of my heart. And I also want to tell you honestly that the beautiful video you saw about the path-breaking temple in Abu Dhabi, which was generously gifted to us by the Crown Prince, and also entrusted to us by our Prime Minister. The story which ended in 2018 actually began in 1997 in Bahrain. It is when Our Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj met Sheikh Isa, the king, and for almost 75 years, Pramukh Swami Maharaj had been moving from village to village, place to place, all corners of the world, visiting almost 250,000 homes. But no one in his life ever had told him what Sheikh Isa told him. He said, "Where do you live, Swamiji?" And Swamiji started smiling. "For a sadhu, there is no home. And we constantly move like a river." But when the king asked him with so much love, holding his hand, he said, "Where do you live?" And Swami said, "Nowhere." He said, "Well, make Bahrain your home." This was the first place that helped us change our worldview. So whatever we do in this world which has to do with harmony, actually, the window opened in Bahrain. So we have come again and again to thank you from the bottom of our heart. And this is no other special evening, it's a continuation. Before we talk about harmony and life, let's talk about death. This is an imaginary story, but the meaning is very true and real. Once a man died, the angels came to pick him up. The angels asked the man, "Where do you want to go, heaven or hell?" The man was astounded. He was shocked and he said, "Do I have a choice? Because I used to think that if you did good, you went to heaven, and if you did bad, you went to hell." Well, the angel said, "Well, democracy is catching up, so you have a choice now." He said that if I have a choice, that you have something to show me. Some leaflets or brochures or anything to really let me know what heaven is like and hell is like. The guy said, yeah. The angel said, "Yes, we have something. If you want to see what heaven is like, here's a brochure. And if you want to see what hell is like, here's a DVD." In this age of technology, the man started salivating. He started thinking, okay, he looked at the brochure first because everybody is interested in heaven, and he saw pictures of sparse people, very morose, quiet, silent, thinned after fasting, not talking, trying to smile, a little halo here and there. He said, "God, I don't want this heaven if this is heaven." And when he slipped in the DVD and when he started watching visuals of hell, there were people laughing, dancing, reveling, feeding, the type of things we do here. He said, "Well, hell is no different." So suddenly he calls the angel and says, "I've decided." The angel says, "I'm giving you 1 week to decide." He said, No, I've decided." He said, "Where do you want to go?" He said, "Hell." He said, "Are you sure you want to go to hell?" He said, "Yes. One last chance. If you want to go to heaven, take the staircase up. If you want to go to hell, take the elevator down." The guy started thinking, look, hell is technologically advanced. So obviously, I don't need to think twice. I want hell. He gets into the elevator, which is nicely decorated, beautiful, gilded in gold. He presses the switch of hell. Suddenly, to his shock and horror, the floor of the elevator opens. There's a dark, deep ditch. He falls into that ditch, full of smell, filth, and he's trying to barely survive. He's almost suffocated. And he's trying to survive, looking up at the top of the place, and he starts shouting, "Well, is this hell?" The guy said, "Of course it is." He said, "What about all the DVDs you showed us?" He said, "That was our publicity department." We live in an age of promotions, presentations, and perceptions, where we can sell heaven as hell and hell as heaven. We live in an age where truth, peace, harmony, the meanings are constantly being changed and they are diminishing and they're almost becoming cliches. We live in an age where showmen succeed and real men fail. And I also want to point out, recently we live in the age of Cambridge Analytica, where data is not just collected, but data is conspired. Where data is not just manipulated, but data is masterminded. Where data is not just used for deceiving society, it is actually used for puppeteering the minds of millions. We live in an age where even the good things that we use and see have become bad things. So it's very important that we understand the thin line of truth, reality, and falsehood and misguidance. We want to talk about harmony, but I also want to tell you that perhaps ours is the world where at this time maximum number of conferences are going on about peace. But sorry to say, as Dr. Buali stressed, but sorry to tell you, the highest earning industry is the industry of armaments. Where we continually tell ourselves that we want to be happy, we have different shades and lecturers and motivational speakers about happiness. But the most foolproof and fail-proof industry is drugs. What a sorry state that we are in. And these are not just romantic words or cliches that I have come here to discuss with you. But no, these are things where we keep talking about values, family values. There's no guy in this hall who will not tell me that family is important. But if I ask the next question, how much time do you spend with your family? We would evade it. We talk about marriages. We talk about man being a social animal. Recently, one man, he went to the antidepressant store, and there was a big board in the antidepressant store that before you can get antidepressant drugs, please produce the necessary documents and certificates, because nobody can go down and take antidepressants. You get hooked on them. So you need to produce appropriate certificates. The guy produced one certificate, and the storekeeper said, "Sir, we have written certificates, but a marriage certificate would not do." He thought by the choice that he's been married, he qualifies for antidepressants. I am sorry. He's talking about medical certificates. But we live in an age, we glorify ideals, but we never try and emulate the same ideals. So when we talk about harmony, and when we talk about happiness, of course, in this age, they remain in charters, treaties, conferences, and constitutions. But they've almost become a rarity. Talking about harmony, somebody would tell me, "Swamiji, it's like the treasure at the end of the rainbow." Meaning it's not there. But I've come here to tell all of you that even if it's a treasure at the end of the rainbow, if we together can create a rainbow, it will at least make the skies look more beautiful. Forget about the treasure. In just being together, in just this assembly, while all of you have come out from your busy schedules, and I know how many good things and important things you need to have and do, it just reinstates and reaffirms our faith in the principle of harmony which we believe in and share. If we go about thinking about it like this, it will make a difference to this world. To emphasize what I want to tell you, I would like to paraphrase an ancient Chinese story to give it more modern relevance. There was a home, a lovely home, a family of 4. It was New Year's Day, where the whole world was happy, but this home was sad. Why? Because the son was sad. He didn't have enough money to buy his favorite motorbike, Harley Davidson. Of course, the daughter was sad as well. She didn't want things, but she had just come home from her college and she had failed to win the beauty contest. She was beautiful. You don't get an entry into a beauty contest if you're not beautiful. But she was sad because she was not the most beautiful girl in the college. She was sad. The mother was sad because she had a lot of trophies of her own in her room, which decorated the entire room. But she was sad because she was worried about ill health. One was sad about wealth. One was sad about success. One was sad about ill health because the entire family was surrounded by sickness. And the father was also sad by seeing 3 people in your own family sad. I think sadness catches on. It's infectious. So the father was also sad, and he thought that I have spent all my life building this home, creating this family, giving them everything, and they're all sad. So obviously he was also depressed, felt unprotected in the home which he locked so well. He felt lonely in a family of 4 which he called his own. So the father was sad as well. All of them started praying and saying that private families, the father was just not happy. While they said their prayers, this story says that in front of their gates, now everybody start relating to this story. In front of their gates, 5 men appeared as if from nowhere. One, they were all guests. When they opened the doors and they asked the first guest, he said, he was shining bright. He said, I am success. He was full of glamour and enticing. The second said, I am wealth. He was also young and powerful. So please invite me into your home. The third guest, of course, was health, young, childlike, and bubbly. The fourth was happiness. He was old but lively. But there was a 5th guest which none of them were looking for, and he was harmony. Uninteresting, lonely, stoic, and silent. So as all of them said, please come in, we have been actually praying for all of you. They said, there's one condition. The condition is we all 5 are at your doorstep, knocking on your door, but we have a problem. Only one can enter your door. So now decide, who do you want? Go home. Discuss with your family. From these 5, which guest do you want to invite for the new year, and that guest will live in your home forever? Obviously, they started debating. One said, we want wealth. And they said, we will have wealth. But if we don't have health or success or happiness, we could be the misers who are always mocked. What is good is wealth without having success or happiness or health? Then said, okay, let's go for success. But there are so many successful people. IIT engineers who do not have jobs or wealth or happiness. So success alone will not do everything for life. He said, okay, I think we need health. So let's invite health in. He said, but health, there may be people who look like actors with great bodies. They are constantly searching for a new film. They're on the roads like beggars. What good is having good looks and good body when you don't have wealth, money, or success? He said, well, there's only one left. Who? Happiness. But I can give you happiness, but I can also give you cancer, bad health. Would you want that happiness? I can give you happiness without a bank balance. Would you want that? I can give you happiness without success at all, no social standing. You'll say, Swamiji, I don't think there can be happiness without the three other friends. This is how we think. Where all four of them kept debating and discussing all night, in the morning they had to decide. Then suddenly they said, we can't decide which one. And they said, there is only the fourth or the fifth one none of us really want. That became a choice by consensus. It was a compromise choice. Because none of us want harmony, we have nothing but we have each other. So let's invite the fifth guy, harmony. And when harmony entered the home, all other four followed. When harmony enters your home, then wealth, success, happiness, and health follows. If we understand this, harmony is not just an idea. Harmony is the source of happiness. Harmony sustains happiness. And harmony is the key element that helps you share this happiness. What good are you happy alone when you can't share it? What good is money to you when you can't really use it? What good is health? If you can't walk out and meet the people and be with the people, what good is health alone to you in front of the mirror? So harmony is one value that helps us stop being selfish and helps us become selfless, and it contributes to life much more. It's the source, it sustains, and it helps us share happiness. That is why this evening we have called the topic, Harmony, the Home of Happiness. And if we understand this in the best possible way, we shall be able to really generate this happiness and harmony from within ourselves. You could be a simple individual. You could be a real simple individual, but if you have harmony. You could be a small, insignificant family. Go back to your family, and your family may not be that important. But if you have harmony, you could be a nation as small as Bahrain. But if you have harmony, we will become the healthiest, the wealthiest, and the happiest nation on this earth. The most important, critical, and clear value in life is to have harmony in this way. Happiness follows harmony. Just as Dr. Buali said before me, that nowadays smiling has become an exotic feature. I'm talking about real smile. I'm not talking about the air host and air hostesses smile. No plastic smiles, yeah? I'm talking about real smiles. It's become a rarity. And I always think that United Nations, I'm not against United Nations. I respect it because BAPS is an official member of the UN. We have been affiliated to the United Nations since 1995. But every now and then we get a day. I believe there's an Environment Day. There's a Mother's Day. There's an Elephant's Day. To save rhinoceros, there's a Rhinoceros Day. Yeah? The Save Water Day, the Earth Hour Day, Save Energy. I think all of you are aware of these wonderful days that the United Nations have come up with. Yoga Day, because most Indians have stopped doing yoga, so Yoga Day. So I started thinking, why do they create a day? A day has been created when the species or when the value is almost extinct. So the day is created so we become aware and we revive it, right? So recently, 20th March was the International Happiness Day. So what does that mean? Happiness is almost in ICU. Happiness is on the verge of an extinct species. We call ourselves that we are happy. But are we really happy? So to celebrate the 20th March as the International Happiness Day, you know why they chose 20th March? I'll also tell you. It happens to be equinox, meaning the day and night are equal. So happiness has to do with balance. They have written in that charter that happiness is the fundamental goal of humanity. Happiness should be inclusive, while all of us want to be exclusive. Happiness has to be sustainable, while all of us want to sustain ourselves at the cost of others. Happiness has to be equitable. Whatever you have, you should be able to share, while all of us want a lion's share. And happiness, they say, has to be balanced. This is the charter of the United Nations when they have started celebrating the International Happiness Day. But you know how everybody celebrated? In Australia, they said that at least spend 2 minutes in trying to make someone smile. Then somebody says, like, I've been spending 24 hours trying to make myself smile. Genuinely, I'm talking about, not for the sake. So how can I spend even 2 minutes in trying to make someone smile? But no, that's not wrong. It's giving us the responsibility to share happiness. In UAE, I found out that on the airport, on the day of happiness, all the immigration officers were not just stamping the passport, that they had a smiley stamp to stamp the passport. Why? No questions were asked. And when we went out, we found out to celebrate the happiness day, the taxi people had said that they will transport passengers free. And that would make people happy. Anything free. Yeah, even when we deserve it or not. But when we found out that it was randomly choosing any 50 passengers from the 500,000, that would make everybody sad. I'm just trying to say we want to create happiness, but is it equitable? Can we create it and share it in the way it should be done? I'm not against this happiness day, but I want to also tell you 2-3 things which are most important. First, happiness is elusive. We seek happiness in something. The moment we get it, we want something else. Most of us always want to do something else. When we are in office, we are planning our holidays. And when we are in holidays, we are planning our office work. We go home, think about our work. And work, we are stressed because of our home. You imagine we have become an elsewhere generation where we always want to be somewhere else. Many of you must be thinking of being somewhere else. Please don't be now here. We always want to be someone else. And we always want to do something else. But if you have the power to be here and now, to be yourself, we will be able to explore what we mean by harmony is the home of happiness. Like I was suggesting that happiness is elusive. Is it in power? Is it in possession? Napoleon, the great emperor, he had half of the world under his feet. Half of the world under his feet when he said, I have not seen 6 happy days in my life. I think power and possession do contribute almost nothing to your state of happiness. It's an illusion. Is it in popularity and talent? I think all of you are familiar with the name Michael Jackson because he had been here and then he went back and all these issues. Let's not talk about it. But Michael Jackson, in his time, whether you love him or hate him, in his time he was perhaps the most looked for, the most followed, where people really loved his songs and people wanted to be like him, people wanted to actually sing like him. And when he was asked at the peak of his career, he often said, it just hurts to be me. Happiness is not in popularity or talent. Get away from it. I'm not saying it's wrong to be popular or talented. And I'm not saying it's wrong to be powerful and have possessions. No, you can. But don't think and be misled by the perception, as I had said, Data is constantly being managed and misconstrued. Your mind is constantly being guided and goaded in the wrong places. So don't be misled. Then you might ask that, is happiness is just there in smiling and laughter and being happy? Well, let me tell you about one of the greatest comedians of this world, or perhaps this world may ever have, Charlie Chaplin. In his time, he was the highest paid actor and celebrity of his time, Charles Chaplin. Not only was he so skilled, but his laughter cut across all countries. He hardly spoke a word. So there's not necessary that people need a language to follow him. He made the whole world laugh. To such an extent that during the Second World War, when Hitler was at the peak of his power, he had almost all of Europe under his feet. The whole world feared the great dictator. Hitler was at the peak of his power, and he was negotiating with England, giving a threat that if you don't surrender or talk to me, I'll have your neck wring like a chicken in 7 days. And he won France in 7 days, Austria in 1 day, Poland had no chance. So Hitler was at the peak of his power, and that's when Charlie Chaplin had the guts and the arrogance to make a film, The Great Dictator, a satire on Hitler. And it is also said that Hitler watched this movie in his private chamber and could not stop laughing. Charlie Chaplin, who could bring a smile to the greatest dictator of this world, apart from the whole world, but he often said, he died a miserable man, he often said, I alone could make the whole world laugh, but the whole world together could not make me laugh. Happiness is not just about laughing or smiling. It is much, much deeper. And we need to understand that if we understand this meaning of happiness in the deeper way, we would find out. Happiness is not just elusive. Happiness is also exclusive. You know, if I take one of you, I think most of you have them, but if I take somebody in the middle and take them behind the stage, and I don't know which is the latest iPhone, X10 or whatever. If I give a simple man an X10, he would be really happy. But when he comes on the stage and the entire audience starts waving an X10, Apple iPhone 10, his happiness would disappear instantly. Happiness, we think, is in exclusiveness. It's because I have the car and the rest of the world doesn't have it, you feel happy. We want that, and that's the problem. In all honesty, the average man on this earth, I'm talking about the average man, has more comforts, more power, more ability, and more technological prowess than any emperor of the past. Did Napoleon, Alexander the Great, did Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan, the great emperor Ashoka, did they have air conditioners? Did they have cars, planes, trains? Did they have mobiles, internet, networking? Did they have refrigerators? Did they have everything that an average or a below average man of today has? Still, each one of us still feels like a beggar. Because the problem is, everyone has them. That's why you're not an emperor. Happiness is not only elusive, we want it to be exclusive. But our Indian scriptures keep explaining to us, and I think every religious philosopher will explain to you, happiness is relative. What makes you happy may not make the next man happy. You go to the shore, to the fishermen, they would want a holiday by going to the city. And you go to the city dweller, he would want a holiday on the seashore. You'd try explaining to a fisherman, oh, it's a holiday, let's go to the seashore. He'll probably fight you. What is happiness for one person may be misery to another person. So I am explaining that happiness is also exclusive, elusive, and it's relative. But I'm here to break all your myths, and this is a shocking survey I want to reveal before you. Recently, LSE, London School of Economics, please note, London School of Economics and Paris School of Economics, they did a combined survey, a research. This itself is harmony, because London and Paris never agree. They have always permanently agreed to disagree. I come from England, and I know, when our London temple was built in 1995, and the whole of England was celebrating. That's when the leading newspaper of France, Le Monde, ran a headline, "The Empire Strikes Back." For 200 years, the British ruled and ruined India, and what a sweet way of taking revenge by putting a beautiful temple in the heart of London. So I am telling you, they have permanently agreed to disagree. But in this case, the London School of Economics and Paris School of Economics, they decided to do a survey on what makes people happy and what makes them miserable. Imagine economists, statisticians, doing something to do with happiness. Nowadays, I think statistics have become so omnipotent. They've entered everything, Anything you do is measured in statistics. The growth of a country, GDP, GNP. Inflation, 10%, 15%. The rate of crime, 22% has grown. We have no clue about these percentages. I'll tell you, only the bankers may do. And nowadays, even bankers don't have clue with what's happening in India. But still, I just want to tell you, all these figures are magical, and everything is reduced to statistics. In England, when we were studying, they say that beware of statistics. When you talk about averages, and if somebody says that this river was on average 4 feet deep, don't cross it. Because at the shore, it will be just 2 inches. In the middle, it will be 20 feet. You understand? Don't cross a river on averages. And there was also a saying that averages and statistics are very misleading. That if your head is in the oven and your feet are in the fridge, on average, you're in a relatively comfortable position. So be careful about statistics, but LSE, London School of Economics, and Paris School of Economics, they decided to do a combined research. And as I say, all these, statisticians, they got together. And, it's entered everywhere. Recently I was reading a survey on how many people believe in God. And they came up with this survey. I don't know how they got the survey. But they came up with this survey that 85% of the people in the world believe in God. But all those 85%, about 45% believe that God doesn't hear their prayers. He's there, but he doesn't hear their prayers. And all those 22% believe that God is a little hard of hearing. He hears, but hears them partly. They have started reducing even religion to statistics and numbers. So be careful, beware. Even medicine now is known as biostatistics. So many great doctors are before me, some of my very deep, close friends. But they have reduced. There's a new field that has come up with that if you take this medicine, then if you are of a certain age with parameters of, let's say, sugar and heart and this, then this medicine is likely to work and fulfill its goal 22%. Otherwise, if you go so and so parameters, is likely to help you 2%. Look, we are not interested in percentage. We are just interested whether it will cure my stuff or not. And one doctor, this is on the side, one patient, he goes to a doctor and he says, "Doc, this operation, I know it's serious." The doctor said, "Yes, it's serious." He said, "Doctor, do you think I will survive this operation?" The doctor said, 100%. He said, "What are my chances of surviving this operation?" 100%. He said, "I was just reading in the leaflet that the success rate is only 10%. And how are you telling me it's 100%? He said, "Exactly, the 9 before you have died, you are the 10th. I don't want to go to a doctor. We just want to know whether we'll be cured or we won't be cured. Statistics are great. Again, I'm not against it. They are abstracts. I love mathematics, but I am here to tell you, imagine LSE and PSE, great economists, trying to work out what happiness is. The concept which all scriptures, philosophers, civilizations, countries and cultures have been seeking, running after, trying to explain. And suddenly you get the economists trying to work out statistics. But look at what they have said. If I said those things, you would doubt me. When preachers and real sadhus and saints and great wise enlightened people tell you these things, we think they have an ulterior motive. But when economists who are actually pushing the world towards all these gadgets and systems, when they say it, after surveying 200,000 people and interviews, not just a sample interview, 200,000 people, asking them what makes you happy and what makes you miserable. Get ready. I was shocked when I read it. A little pleased, but I was shocked. They say that education plays less than 4% role in making a person happy or sad. All my life, I have been telling everybody, study hard, study hard, study hard. All our places, we have been encouraging children, and I will still tell you, ask your children to study hard. That's important. And it's an important goal. But when I saw that it plays less than 4%, I started thinking, and I did think, that if education played a very important role in your happiness, most doctors, lawyers, and educated people must be the happiest, but this is not the case. I've seen doctors who get divorced, and real furious divorces. Second thing that they told in their research, that money, these are the two things that drive us. And they are these sensible, good things. Forget about the vices and all the bad things. But these are the good things we can publicly declare as well. I have a passion to earn, or I have a passion to study. They say money plays less than 3% role in a person's happiness. I can show you so many wealthy people who are really, really unhappy. Then you'll ask me, Swamiji, what is the other 93%? You've just talked about the 7%. The research says that social relationships play more than 80% role in a person's personal happiness or sadness. How your relationship with your wife and your children are. One man, he came to the temple, and every day till 11 o'clock he would not go home. 11:30 he would still be in the temple doing ceremonies and circumambulation. I thought he was a very great devout person. So I asked him, I said, you stay up till so long in the temple when normally the temple closes at 8:30? You are here at 11:30? He said, yes, Swamiji. I said, but you must be really faithful. He said, no, not really, but I just wait till my wife goes to sleep. What good is it if a husband can't relate to a wife and a wife can't relate to a husband? If there's no harmony, there is no happiness. What good is it that if you go out in search of greater and greater businesses and you come home and you feel like strangers in your own home? Is that something to take pride in? No. If you are not in harmony with your own children, how will you ever be in harmony with your neighbors and people around you? What good is it if you are not in harmony with the people, your own citizens, and with your neighbors and people of different traits? So harmony is the most important part even in social relationships. So let us be very clear that harmony not only will strengthen your family, not only will strengthen your country, not only will strengthen you as an individual, but I have come here with perfect research that harmony and inner harmony is a way to even health, success, wealth, and happiness. All four. Because I am here to teach you a way of inviting these four guests permanently in your home. How? There are so many doctors. If you have any issues, you can meet them. But let's be very clear. You might have heard of the great Rosettan effect. Rosettan effect is, there was a group of immigrants in Italy in 1882. 11 Rosettans, there's a small village, a mountain village, about 100 miles away from Rome, south of Rome. It's in a hilly area. And it's called Rosetta, Wolfoto. 11 people, 10 men and one little boy, they migrated to America. And not in New York, they settled about 90 miles away from New York, somewhere near Pennsylvania. And as immigrants would do, in the next 12 years, there were 1,200 Rosettans who had come from the same village into America. They started working in a quarry, a marble quarry in that area, because you were immigrants, you had to work anything, till the land, do anything, hard work to get your life ends to meet. Sometime in 1955 and 1965, a physician, Stuart Wolfe, he happened to visit this small village of 1,200 people, just 1,200 people. And to his shock and horror, he found there was not a single person in this small village who had any heart ailment, and nobody died under the age of 65, unless there was an accident. Every person in this village died of old age. No disease. So he brought in a sociologist. His name, John Brunn. Both Stuart Wolfe and John Brunn did a detailed survey of the entire Rosettan community in America. And they started searching for the reason why their heart is so healthy, why they are living such at a long age, why they seem so bubbly and happy. First, they looked at the diets. The diet in Italy was cooked in olive oil, and here it was lard and margarine, unhealthy. The diet was unhealthier here. They looked at their day. They were mountain people. They constantly climbed up and down the mountain. Their full exercise. Here, the life was not that heavy at all. So, work or exercise was negligible. The environment in the mountain in Italy was pure and pristine. Here, they were working in marble quarries. So, it's actually obnoxious. They also saw that they lived in the mountains, and the entire food also was much more healthier than the food here. Then what was the secret behind this community that made them healthy and happy? Do you know what the research found? They said this was a community where everybody lived in joint families. Here, even in our family, we want separate rooms. This was a community where every family lived in joint families. And the moment they began their day, they knew everybody by name. They said, how are you, how are you, how are you, how are you? So it would take them almost half an hour to 45 minutes to reach work because they knew everybody. Second thing, they were helping community because they knew each other. So if somebody did not have the paper, somebody will bring the paper to them. In this small community of 1,200 people, there were more than 300 charitable institutions. And they said they never left each other without a shake of hand or a hug. And the real reason they found out, because it was a connected community that hugged, connected community that helped, connected community that knew each other and actually was socially so strong. That is the reason it was healthy and happy. Harmony in society leads to health. So when you come to functions like that, I think today you won't need to take the tablets you normally take. Please do, don't listen to me. But a gathering like this, which actually promotes happiness and harmony, it gives us something even much more than we can think of. As Dr. Buali said, I like to just specify now, medical research says that if you walk and exercise, you get endorphins that make you happy. Those are the hormones. If you handshake and hug, suddenly we feel good if you handshake and hug the right people, I mean. If you handshake and hug the people that you like and love, oxytocin is released and you suddenly feel good. If you just walk into sunshine and you think of making others happy, you've not made anybody happy, but you think of making somebody happy, like your mother or father or anybody, when you go home, then it releases serotonin in your hormones, so it makes you that feeling of happiness. And the chemical for reward is dopamine. Many drugs are centered around that. But when you achieve your goal, when you do something that helps somebody else, it doesn't just benefit you. When you can talk about something good about others, when you volunteer, when you show kindness and do good work, it releases dopamine in your body without any drugs. I think that 4 major chemicals responsible for your happiness and well-being can be produced by each one of us ourselves. We have a factory. Don't search out and look for them outside. You are capable of being happy, provided you have a harmonious living with the people around you. And that's what the Gita says. The Bhagavad Gita says, Ashantasya kutha sukham, his whose mind is unhappy, disturbed, where is happiness for him? And Shantasya kutha dukham, his whose mind is stable, undisturbed, where is unhappiness for him? If you are stable from within, let there be as much injustice as there can be. Some people will tell me, Swamiji, am I the only one who has to create harmony at home? What about the other guys? Am I the only one who has to reach out to my wife? Can't she reach out to me once? Am I the only one? I have come to tell you, yes, you are the only one. If you want harmony, if you want to sort out the world and your own personal and private world, you have to take that step. Don't wait for the world. The classiest example that I can think of, nobody on this earth has been met with perhaps more injustice than Nelson Mandela. When he died on 14th December 2013, 100 world leaders came without invitation. I'm talking about world presidents and prime ministers and premiers, not invitation, no protocol. When Nelson Mandela died, more than 90 leaders of international organizations like WHO, Oxfam, United Nations, they turned up without invitation, no protocol. A whole stadium had to be hired to give him a farewell. Nelson Mandela in his lifetime had hardly met any of these leaders during his lifetime. They still turned up, whether they knew him or whether they didn't know him. Most of the countries he personally never even visited. Why did they turn up for such a leader who most of his life was in jail? He never had anything remarkable or a great achievement to his name. He never created or made a difference to the world in a way that most leaders would do, like changing shapes of countries or increasing this, that, this. Nothing, no contribution, no scientific discovery. Why did people turn up and why you and me still value him? I want to emphasize, a person who was born in a tribe, who found it a challenge to educate himself. As a youth, he was hunted. And when he became matured, he was conspired and put into jail by the apartheid regime. The apartheid regime that was in South Africa for more than 46 to 47 years. And every time Mandela was about to be released, one man who actually conspired and arranged for Mandela's capture, John Foster, he had become the Prime Minister of South Africa. You would lose faith in God, saying, I'm an honest man, and suddenly God, you promote him as the Premier of South Africa, the head of the regime. And when John Foster became the Premier of South Africa, every now and then he would joke in Parliament, he would joke with the media people and say that it's my dream to hang Mandela. My career will end when Mandela is no more. Every time he's about to be released, another case is put in and he's jailed for 27 years. If you have ever been to Cape Town and you've gone to Robben Island, go down. His cell was so small he could barely stretch his feet. Forget about just being incarcerated or imprisoned. He was humiliated every day. In papers, he would listen or hear stories of the Prime Minister of South Africa wishing to hang Mandela. For 27 years, it wasn't just prison, humiliation, hurt, actually total vilification of the human personality. But a day came when Mandela was freed. You know the story goes? When the chief jailer, he came to Mandela, he said, Mr. Mandela, we have just had a fax that you will be free from tomorrow. Mandela asked, what is a fax? He had not even seen the invention and the death of a fax. A whole generation had passed in 27 years. But when he was stepping out of the prison and he was on Robben Island, international media had gathered, and the only question they asked Mandela, Mr. Mandela, what do you think of John Foster? The man who conspired, the man who dreamt, the man who made sure you suffered for 27 years. What do you think of John Foster? Mandela said, he's a decent man. That's all. He had the heart to forgive. He put the past behind him. It is because one man preferred harmony. That is why we have the existence of South Africa today. Otherwise, the whole nation would have been destroyed in revenge after revenge after revenge. He often said, when one man, Isu Chiba, he came to Mandela, he said, he was also in jail. He said, Mandela, I have decided that all the white people who have put us in jail, I'll go down once I'm free, hunt them down and kill each one of them. He was an Indian who was a leader in ANC. Mandela called him and said, Isu, the first thing we will do when we get out of jail is to go to the wives of all the people who put us in jail. We'll have tea with them and assure them that nothing will happen to their husbands. Have you been insulted or hurt for 27 years? Then go out and reach out with the hand of harmony. It is in one man's personality that a whole nation could remain still. When Akshardham was attacked by terrorists, and these two terrorists killed more than 31 people in one of our most prized temples, which has been actually, put as the most important monument of whole of India. Whole night people struggled. A place which is a symbol of peace and harmony. The whole world leaders from Clinton to Kalam to Dalai Lama, everybody phoned to show solidarity with us. And when 75% of India went on strike in protest against this attack, there were also fanatic people who came forward and said that we know who has attacked. We know who the terrorists were. Pramukh Swami Maharaj never even asked the name of the terrorist. While he was sprinkling flowers at every place of Akshardham, he went to the place where the terrorists had died. He also said prayers for their soul, and he said, may nobody be misguided to hurt or create terror for any culture, any country, any place of worship ever in the world. This was the prayer of Pramukh Swami Maharaj. When such a prayer is said, it brought the entire stability in Gujarat, and that is why Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, he wrote the book Transcendence on His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj. He said, after writing a book, imagine Kalam a great scientist, Pramukh Swami a saint. Kalam did not know a word of Gujarati. Pramukh Swami never knew a word of English. Kalam had 48 PhDs behind him. Pramukh Swami had not even passed the primary schooling. One was a Hindu leader. Kalam was a profound Muslim. One was the father of the nuclear bomb of India. One who always preached peace and avoided weapons. Still, Kalam, in his book, he writes that Pramukh Swami was my ultimate spiritual teacher because he helped me transcend the divides that divide us. We have divides and divisions that divide us. When we transcend those, and he explained, humanity is like a vast archipelago of islands. Each religion and culture is beautiful, but they are separate and disconnected. And Pramukh Swami is the bridge that would be able to bridge the culture and the islands. That is why we are here today. To be able to be a bridge. And when you are a bridge, and when you connect, and when you feel one with everyone around you, then by default, you will have harmony in your heart and you will create harmony. At the end, I would like to leave you with one message. That in this world of power, presentations, money, success, there is another way of living our own lives. I would like to end with a very simple story. And I believe this story will have a great meaning for your life and my life. The story is of a simple child, his name Ben Coleman. He was born in 1994. Go back and tell your children this story tonight. He was born in 1994. Ben Coleman, he was born with brain palsy, a disease that actually, for life, you cannot control your motor muscles. He can't walk straight, can't sit straight, can't remain still, constantly in motion. But when this boy was studying in Anderson, in South Carolina, he did not want to be differently abled or specially abled. We give such wonderful names, but it's still different. So he decided one fine day to run the cross country, which is a 3.1 mile race for his school. Everybody discouraged him that you can't even walk straight. How can you run 3.1 miles in a cross country which goes from up and down? And you can't run. Still he decided. He participated in this cross country race. Now look what happened. When the whistle blew, and all the runners started running. This entire runners, they started running, and Ben started falling and rising up, falling and rising. Every third step he would fall. Every fourth step he would fall. Falling and rising and falling and rising. A time came when he was bruised and actually bleeding profusely. I've seen the video, that's why I'm trying to tell you. Bleeding profusely on his way to complete the cross-country race. He happened to break the slowest cross-country runner of United States. He finished his race in 40 to 42 minutes, while most of the runners finished it in 20 minutes. But you know what the magic happened? While Ben was running, a time came when he lost sight of all the runners before him. A time came when there was nobody behind him. He was struggling alone and alone. But when all the people who finished the race, they found out that this guy is still running the race, they all came back. For the last 20 minutes, all the participants lifted him, helped him, and encouraged him. This was the first time that all the participants stopped competing and comparing and started caring, because Ben was not competing or comparing. He was just challenging his own self. Learn to live your own life and you will create harmony in the whole world around you. If we are possessed by learning to live our own lives, learn it genuinely. So what if the whole world doesn't want to have harmony? You do. So what if the whole world is blind and you're the only one with eyes? Will you poke out your own eyes? Guide the world. So what if the whole world is limping and you are the only one with feet? Will you cut your own limbs as well? Teach them how to walk. If you come to me and say, Swami, 90% of the world doesn't want harmony, what is a statistic? If there is one guy like Nelson Mandela, if there is one person like Mahatma Gandhi, and if there is one person like His Holiness Pramukh Swami, harmony is still possible. We just needed one man on the moon. Have you been? Will I go? Will anybody else go? Still, we proudly announce to the world that man has conquered the moon. Even if there is one man in this audience who is going to go home and generate harmony with his children, his family member, his wife, his surroundings, then we will have a wonderful world of creation. Remember, an orchestra has 27 different instruments which play different music, different tones, and different notes. And yet together, they give us the 9th symphony. They don't have to be the same. Where difference is not a disadvantage, harmony is the only advantage. Creation, the wonderful colors and creation that you see around you, is a combination of hundreds of atoms which are unique. No atom loses its own existence. But when atoms have come together, they've created the wonderful universe that we see. So for harmony, you don't have to be the same. Harmony is living together despite our differences. Harmony, just as Dr. Buali said, and I would like to end, harmony is when you can't see harmony all around you, try and close your eyes and thank the light that helps you to see. Try and thank the people around you. Remember, when you were born, you survived because of others. The first 3 years, you didn't have a clue. You could not speak. You can't even remember the first 3 years of your life, which was most vulnerable, like a baby. When you were born, you survived because of others. What your mom and dad, your brothers and sisters, your family members, how they took care of you. You didn't even know how to eat. You didn't even know what to say. You did not know whether the water was hot or not. You did not know whether it was good or bad. We survived because of others when we were born. And when we are old, once again we will survive because of others. Somewhere in the middle, we have a misnotion and a misconception that we survive because of ourselves and others survive because of us. Even now, we continue to survive because of others. Please thank the people around you and the forces around you for a lovely life they have given you. Let's create harmony, be the source of harmony, and make our home a home of happiness. Thank you very much.
I just want to invite Puja Brahmavihari Das. We have a beautiful picture in the background. Somebody asked a question exactly what this picture means. So we will end the evening with Puja Brahmavihari Das to actually explain what this picture is.
I think the picture really represents Bahrain. It's the tree of life of Bahrain, a tree that grows in the desert. And you can see the trunk is people. The heads are held high. It supports not just leaves, but beautiful birds that come from all over the world. Bahrain is a place that is the mixing plot of all over the world. But they come in different colors. But when they fly beyond the tree, it is just one color, that is the color of the sky. So anybody who comes to Bahrain is actually colored by the same color of harmony. Harmony is such that in the ancient Indian scriptures, there was a guru whose name was Lomash Lushi. He was so enlightened that in his ashram and place, animals as fierce as lions and goats, animals which roamed and hurt each other, would become friends, let go of their own instincts and prejudice, and survive as one. When that happens, you will always get the sunrise, which is gold. People tell us that the sun and the moon cannot exist together. In this land of Bahrain and in this picture, you see both the sun and the moon together. So just as day and night can exist, all differences can exist in the same frame. This is harmony, the home of happiness. Thank you very much.